Good evening, everyone. Turn that echo off and welcome. It's going to be a good night. We're full. We're ready to roll. The hour is loaded, actually, and a lot of stuff tonight that I think you're going to like. And Ukraine's done some really good things over the last 24 hours, as well as Russia has done some things as well. But the international community, especially behind Dmitry Kuleba, is the deal. So tonight, oh my goodness. Hold on a second, guys. So what happened today? I see now. Hold it. So today, had a power issue here. Had to get it repaired. That resets the cameras. But we're good to go now. So welcome to you guys. Going to be a good hour, and I'm going to keep you updated on everything that is happening today. Dmitry Kuleba is the big deal. Dmitry Kuleba put out a document after many of his meetings, and I think you're going to appreciate it. Very professionally done. So let me say some hellos to you guys out there. We've got everything dialed in, and love from Georgia. Love back at you there, my friend. I took a special night because tonight Dmitry Kuleba drew a line in the sand. So in honor of Dmitry Kuleba, that would be Bernard P. Fife, and we're nipping it in the bud. Hola to all of you. Rainwater, you should be good. I'll be in English tonight. Chuck Pinkham, Rosemary Lozier, God bless you. Silvio Marcochia. Ricochet, welcome to you, my friend. Yes, praying for a guy. We had a guy here locally. His dad passed away today. So we'll remember him in prayer. Texas in the house. Holly, sharing the love and the Ukrainian flag. Thank you. Rogam, hello, Bill and Rita. Love hearing the truth each evening from your awesome son. I know how proud you must be of his dedication to his listeners. True blessing to so many. Much appreciated there. Quick, what was Greg's favorite show? The Barney Andy Griffith show. Julia Augustine, welcome to you. Andrea Shove. Rick Berry, welcome to you. Lynn Fireball. Is it true Ukraine was able to push out some of the Russian fleet in the Black Sea? No. They pushed in the Kherson Oblast. They do not have the ability to push the sea. That's a part of the problem. But they did make a push in Kherson. And we'll talk about that in just a second. I'm going to update you guys on the map. Just making sure I say all the good mornings. Malcolm Bills, welcome to you. Checking in from the UK. And I did see the message here from Rosemary. Thank you very much, and we'll get going here. Hello, Miss Holly. Thanks for sharing your hubby with all of us each evening. Yes, we were just discussing that. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady. One of a kind. The queen. That's where we're at. The other thing is I've got tonight the MVP of the war. Just hear me on that. Tonight, I've got the MVP of the war. Russia put land SAMs on their ships. Yes, they did. Anyway, we'll get all into it, and I'll get you updated. We're going to be spot on here in just a few minutes. So thank you. It is day 104, and this is now a war that is on multiple fronts. And the fronts are not only military. We're going to talk about that. And that's what Kuleba is talking about as well. Grace Smith, good evening, you Firecracker 10. Welcome to you. I don't know if they've delivered those harpoons yet. Good question. So let's get to it, folks. I think you're going to enjoy this. And I may have to adjust this one as well. Hopefully not. No, we're good. That fixed it all. All right, I want to start tonight with this. Let me slide this joker back. When you have a power reset, everything gets out of whack, and I won't know it until we go. So we should be fixed now. Fortunately, I know my software, most of it. Now we're ready. Thank you. As James would say on IA, it's live. It's not recorded. I want to start here tonight. This is a tweet from Joseph Fontales, Joseph Borrell. Another Russian missile strike contributing to the global food crisis. Russian forces have destroyed the second biggest or largest grain terminal in Ukraine in Mykolaiv. It was a major strike there in Mykolaiv. In light of such reports, the disinformation spread by Putin, defecting blame becomes even more cynical. And this is exactly what Dmitry Kuleba is going to talk about in just a moment. Now we go from there. We then go to the EU President Charles Michel blaming Russia for the food crisis at the UN Security Council meeting. Now, of course, Russia is sitting there, and I'm going to show you a clip of President Charles Michel calling it out. These are the nations through the end of 2022, and half of these will stay on through 2023 for the UN Security Council. You have China, France, Russia. You know, that's a great trifecta down there. The dark blue represents permanent members, by the way. Then above them, the UK and the USA. And then the nations that are part of the rotation: Gabon, Ghana, Kenya, India, United Arab Emirates, Brazil, Mexico, Ireland, Norway, and Albania. That is the seated members of the UN Security Council. Now back to that, major nations there, of course, especially the permanent ones and some of the seated ones for the year. EU President Charles Michel blames Russia point blank at the UN in front of the Security Council. And at the end of his little statement, he tells the Russian ambassador, I think you may want to leave the room if you don't want to hear this. So I'm going to play this for you, and you'll see it and hear it for yourself.
The Kremlin is using food supplies of Russian warships in the Black Sea, and because of Russia's attack on transport, because the Kremlin is using food supplies as a stealth missile against developing countries. The dramatic consequences of Russia's war are spilling over across the globe, and this is driving up food prices, pushing people into poverty and destabilizing entire regions. And Russia is solely responsible for this food crisis, Russia alone, despite the Kremlin's campaign of lies and disinformation. I've seen it with my own eyes a few weeks ago in Odessa. Millions of tons of grain and wheat stuck in containers and ships because of Russian warships in the Black Sea and because of Russia's attack on transport infrastructure. And it is Russian tanks, Russian bombs and mines that are preventing Ukraine from planting and harvesting. The Kremlin is also targeting grain storages and stealing grain in Ukraine while shifting the blame on others. This is cowardly, this is propaganda, pure and simple propaganda. You may leave the room. Maybe it's easier not to listen to the truth, the ambassador.
You may leave the room. Maybe it's easier to not listen to the truth. You got it right, Rainwater. Drop the mic and walk out the door. And I just cut that part out, but I can tell you the ambassador, he left. Russia will let the grain out. Ukraine just has to let it be Russian grain so they get the cash. Yeah. And yes, I saw your guys. Medic Trevor says, I bet that silo burned. Folks, it's not just a silo. It's the second largest grain storage in Europe. It's a massive storage facility, and it's all destroyed. Very, very sad. Mykolaiv has been under major attacks. We'll talk about that in a moment. I'm going to show you the map and give you the updates. I want to start here tonight as well. I want to introduce you to this guy right here. His name is Mizintsev. He is a colonel general in the Russian army. He was the general responsible for Mariupol. He is nicknamed, you may look him up, you can check it out. He's nicknamed now the Butcher of Mariupol. He now has been relocated after Mariupol, considering him a great success and a hero, to Moscow, and he is responsible now for the National Defense Management Center of Russia. He's responsible for moving the pawns, keeping the records, especially in regard to military forces, POWs, of which the number that came out today. How many prisoners of war does Russia have? How many Ukrainians? About 6,800, 6,800, of which Kyiv released a number today that over 2,500 soldiers that were trapped in Mariupol, and specifically the Azovstal steel plant, are being held in different places in Russian control. Now, Mizintsev gave numbers, and Ukraine agreed to the information. And this is going to be so hard to understand. In fact, I was preparing this data, 2 or 3 in the morning when it came across, and I knew I wanted to share it tonight. Ukraine's not disputing these numbers. They're agreeing with them. You're not seeing this on your news channels. And I'm not speaking about any news channel. You're not seeing these anywhere. Nobody's telling these numbers. They're telling us the numbers of refugees, 6.5, 6.6, 6.7 million. We're hearing about the amount of displaced people, between 10 and 14 million Ukrainians, of which I remind you, pre-war population of Ukraine, 42 million. It's substantial. Pre-war population, 42 million. Forced removals from Ukraine to Russia. Just let this sink in. 1.7 million. Of which 273,000 are children. 1.7 million Ukrainians. Would somebody please tell me where the outrage is? Would somebody please tell me where the transparency and the truth coming out to the rest of the world is? These numbers are not disputed by Ukraine. They're facts. 1.7 million. Wherever you live in this country or you live abroad, just think of a city or an urban area, 1.7 million. So for us here in Western Pennsylvania, would the Pittsburgh metropolitan area be 1.7, maybe 2 million? Can you just imagine all of Pittsburgh and the metro area gone? You drive into a ghost town. That's the amount of people that have been forcibly removed. You're saying, well, how did they get 1.7 million people? I'm glad you asked. I'll show you. How? That doesn't even make sense. How? Very simple. Very simple. Where are all the 1.7 million people from? Why is my line not showing up? It will. You have a power outage and everything that's supposed to work normal decides to reset. Fortunately, we know the answers. Here we go. Boom. Now you'll see it. Praise God. All right. So where are the 1.7 million people coming from? They're coming from here. They're not stealing them out of Kyiv. They're not stealing them out of Khmelnytsky. It's in the occupied territories. In these occupied territories, there are millions and millions of people that never left. These people are being taken. And okay, I was going to show this later, but let me show this now. This will tell you the story. How? How are they getting that many people out? Well, let me show you right here. This, my friends, in fact, I'm just going to make this big for you. I'll take myself out of it. This is Rubizhny, completely occupied city, over 100,000 people. This is a satellite image from April the 1st. Just take a peek. Look at those buildings, the homes, the housing. All of those buildings you are seeing there are residential. In fact, in the middle of the screen, you see the 4 buildings kind of like in a rectangle. That is absolutely typical. And there in the middle will be parking and a courtyard and a playground for the kids. It's a nice setup. That's April the 1st. Let's move forward in time to June the 7th. Same satellite. I'm just letting your eyes work. So here you go. I know it feels like the eye doctor, 1 or 2, 2 or 3, but here we go. Rubizhny. Rubizhny. So just so you will also know, I'm showing you the exact same place. Look at the top left. You see the building that's kind of designed like a 7 on its side, kind of a sideways 7, and then it has a branch going off. And then below that, you see the rectangle 4 buildings. So this is before. Now look in the same area. Gone. One more time. April the 1st, June the 7th. Folks, people wonder, how is this happening? Where do 1.7 million people come from? Well, let me tell you, 100,000 live in that city. Where are they at? They're not living there now. There may be stragglers living in the basements and in some of their destroyed, single family dwellings, but they're gone. When Russia is destroying these cities, they are taking the people out. These numbers of 1.7 million is not from Kyiv, not from Lviv. It's not from Ukrainian-controlled Ukrainian territory. It's from Russian-controlled Ukrainian territory. It's very sad. And it's happening in Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporozhye, and Kherson Oblast regions. Now, British intelligence came out, and this is very interesting. Today's update, they said, and I've showed you some of these over time. Over the weekend, Ukrainian forces have recaptured part of Severodonetsk. Although Russian forces likely continue to occupy eastern districts, Russia's broader plan likely continues to be cut off the Severodonetsk area from both the north and the south. Russia made gains on the southern Popasna axis through May, but its progress in the area has stalled over the last week. Reports of heavy shelling near Izum suggest Russia is preparing to make a renewed effort on the northern axis. Russia will almost certainly need to achieve a breakthrough on at least one of these areas to translate tactical gains to operational level success and progress toward its political objective of controlling all of the Donetsk Oblast. Now, with that said, I want to show you something here. Let me go to a different tab, and then I'm going to show you. I want that one. Let's go right here. Let me change the pen size. Here you have Severodonetsk. I'm just going to put a line through it. And then remember, I've taught you guys, I'll change it to blue. Lysychansk is up on the hill. The city that I was just showing you that is gone is Rubizhny, gone. Kremina, gone. Izum. And then you come from the bottom of Lugansk and you push into Zolota. This is what has happened. And you know it well now. You know that pinch right here. Well, early this morning, 24 hours ago, Ukraine made a great advancement pushing back. Unfortunately, it's quite possibly a trap. And Rostovich himself has said this. I would not tell you this unless we've heard it from Kyiv. Rostovich himself this evening in his address said, I am very concerned because we do have some trapped forces now in Severodonetsk, and Russia is making now a push back. What they did was this. Here's the pinch, and they drew. We talked about it. Ukraine came in and pushed them back, and then Russia withdrew. When Ukraine came in, they shelled the mess out of them, and then they pushed right back through. So that is what's happening in Severodonetsk, and it's the hottest spot in the war right now. There's no telling what will happen by tomorrow, but it's what happened today. And right here, you can see it. This is the tactical map. The Z, of course, the Russian troops. And then on the right side is that pocket I just drew for you where they pulled them in and then they unleashed again. If you look at the red circle there on the upper right-hand side, that is covering the town of Slavyansk. In fact, I'm going to go back to that map a second because I want you to understand this. We'll go back here. The city that's circled is Slavyansk. That's the next target. And just so you know, where was Zhenya delivering? Kramatorsk. I mean, right there on the front. But today, Ukraine stated that they believe above Izum here, Russia has amassed 40,000 troops. Rostovich himself said, once they start that push, unless we have the longer range weapons, there's a very little chance of us holding on currently to the remaining 2% of the Lugansk Oblast and the percentages 15 to 20 of the Donetsk Oblast that we still control. It may be very, very difficult for us to do that. It's very sad, but Ukraine has made some good pushes in the south into the Kherson Oblast. They regained about 8 to 10 kilometers of territory, a couple of small villages, because Russia has wrapped around and they're pushing very hard to the left for the city of Mykolaiv. Now, with all of that said, I want to show you today. I do have to tell you, and I'm not so happy about it, but today, and here's the updated list right before I went online, what was struck today. And remember, I've shared with you how Russia is doing this. The air defenses typically can take out one of the strikes that Ukraine is able to defend with the equipment they have, but 2, 3, or 4 come. So a couple get through typically. Today, unfortunately, Vinnytsia was hit. And right before I went on the air, Khmelnytsky was hit tonight. I have messaged Zhenya right now to find out what is going on, and I have not heard back from him yet. That everything's cool, but I can tell you Khmelnytsky was hit just a little while ago, Vinnytsia. So, of course, we're back over here in the west. Kharkiv, once again, under constant bombardment. I remind you guys that about a week ago, Kharkiv tried to open their metro or their subway again to try to get life going a little bit back to normal. And of course, it's all closed back down. Intense shelling back into the Sumy region today. Mykolaiv, this is where the grain was destroyed. And of course, because there's a huge port that comes out from Mykolaiv to the Black Sea. Severodonetsk is the hottest battle, this entire area here where we're talking about. And the other thing that happened today, and this is key. I'm going to put this in the color green. But folks, I've talked to you about the city of Rostov-on-Don. Look over on the far right of the screen. Of course, it's in Russia. And then Mariupol is here. Well, today, Russia opened a road. And I know it's a target for Ukraine. But it's very difficult for Ukraine to hit these. They do not have the ranged weapons. That's why this is public. But today, Russia opened, and let me make a sticker. Complete road system, transport system from Rostov-on-Don through Mariupol into Melitopol, straight down into Crimea, and then to Kherson. It's fully open, and they are transporting nonstop. What's coming and what's going? Weapons is coming, and grain is leaving. Trains, tractor trailers, you name it. And this transport route has not been opened. It had been destroyed. It had been attacked earlier in the war, but now it's been repaired. And this system, this transport system is fully open. Now, have we already sent the new batch of weapons? They've been loaded. They've been sent. 777s are there. I know that's not what you're referring to, but right now Ukrainians are being trained on the other weapons, and they said that could take up to 3 weeks. Is he okay, Greg? Yes, he's okay. I'm sure of it. That is right where he's at. That's our city. Now, just so you know, that's a city of 300,000 people. Yeah, just like CZ, you're right. Everything is being leveled. Everything behind those enemy lines that I've shared with you guys, they're not just marching forward and saying, okay, just leave those people, you're now Russia. They're leveling these cities. You know, Rick Barry, it's a good comment. It's worthy of being shared. The outrage over the kidnapping of 1.7 million Ukrainians is hiding in the same place that it hid over Auschwitz and Dachau in Etal in World War II, etc. You're right. And it's very, very sad. But it's not going to it's not going to change, folks, until people stop calling Putin. Smartest person out there is the Estonian Prime Minister, Ms. Bulldog. Now, many of you want an update on Mariupol. I have that for you tonight, the most updated. This is the story. Remember when we did the 100-day review, we started covering Mariupol specifically on day 14. I think it was day 14 when it had the title slide. I'm sure we were talking about it prior to that, but it became our top story, and we've talked about it, and the Azovstal steel plant and the 36 and the Azov Brigade. We've talked about everything. You guys know Mariupol. Huge city, important city. Folks, it's in trouble. And you may ask, what do you mean it's in trouble? We've lost it. It's destroyed. The soldiers are taken. I know, all of that. It's leveled, yes, but there's a problem. President Zelensky said today, confirming that about 2,500 fighters from the Azovstal plant are now in Russian captivity. We know, I gave you that number a little while ago, but that was from Zelensky. I don't give you something that somebody posts on Facebook. I promise you. I don't even look there. I'm looking directly from and getting directly from Ukraine. Secondly, this is a fact. I started hearing about this a couple of days ago, but it was all in the rumor mill. But now it's official. Kyiv has released it. Russia has even released it. The destroyed Mariupol is being quarantined by Russia due to the first cases of cholera. Folks, evidently, from what we're hearing, seeing, the information that's coming out of Mariupol is they have a severe cholera outbreak. And now that cholera has moved into Russia, into Rostov-on-Don, into Tagarong, and these cities are having to deal with it. So they have shut down Mariupol. They're not going to treat anybody. All they're going to do is kill people. I'm telling you. That's what they're going to do. There is no water. And the only water they have is filthy. You see, Russia has been trying to repair some of the plumbing that they destroyed, some of the water infrastructure, so that they can at least get some water flowing, because there are Russian forces there, and there are people that are pro-Russia. They're trying to get some water going. They have businesses to start. They're running the port wide open. But they are unable to get any water, because as soon as they try to return pressure to the system, the pipes burst everywhere. In fact, I can show you that it's impossible to fix this. Russia razed Mariupol to the ground, and in so doing, they destroyed the infrastructure of the city. And now they're dealing with it. Here you go. This is Mariupol today. Yes, many above ground pipes. That's typical. Look, right there. Look. I paused it for you. Coming to get that filthy water. I tell you the truth here, folks, and I wait until I know it, but Mariupol's in severe trouble. Russia has released bodies from Azovstal. Ricochet, baby, you know the number. It was pretty large, 1,000 maybe. I saw the number, but I don't recall. It's Mariupol's in trouble, folks, and even Russia knows it. Now, one of the major attacks that I showed you on the map a moment ago is Kharkiv, and just to remind you where it is, in case you're new, Kharkiv is here in the north east. Absolutely, Russia wants to take that entire city, and in fact, they also want to take Zaporozhye, which is a city of 1.5 million as well. They made those declarations today, actually. But Kharkiv, Russia has been trying to cross the river on the southeast side of Kharkiv. All the bridges have been destroyed. Ukraine destroyed the bridges to keep the Russian forces over. They had no choice. I shared that with you guys probably 4 to 6 weeks ago. But now, satellite imagery coming through, and Russia in many places is building, of course, you military guys know this stuff, pontoon bridges. So I can show you, this is from satellite imagery, the date on the upper left, 26th of May, and you can see the river, kind of nothing going on there except the beginnings of a road. 30th of May, you can see the construction on both sides. 31st of May, and then I think I've got one here that's even a little clearer for you. Yes, this is the 3rd of June. So they are building a pontoon bridge. The other bridge is, of course, impassable. And it's not only here, but they're doing this in several places. And you say, okay, well, of course, Ukraine has that satellite imagery. They know where this is, and they're going to take it out. Sure, they're going to try. which they should, and I hope they do. But all I can tell you is this is right now. It's not been taken out yet, and we are June the 7th. That bridge is probably done. It's a pontoon bridge, and I watched a video on how the military does that. It doesn't take them long once they get the sides right. They roll it out pretty quick, and we have nothing stated or reported that these have been taken out. Now, with that said, I can tell you with all of this today, I need to show you this on the map. How can I do that? Let's go over here. I need to show you a location. Did you say disease is spreading into Russia as well? Yes, it's going into Rostov-on-Don and Tagarong. In fact, I'll show you guys. Let me go to this map because I want to show you a location in Russia. Very important location today. Let's go here and let me pop that off. Right here is Mariupol, and they've already got the spreading of disease into Taganrog and Rostov. So Russia has closed Mariupol, and they're going to try to contain it there. But it's cholera for sure. Now, I want to zoom out. Oh, I need to take that off. I'm going to show you the border of Ukraine, and I'm going to show you what's coming. And folks, we've been saying it for decades. They've been preparing. This is the eastern border of Ukraine, of course. And I want to draw your attention to a location. I mean, it's so remote, right? Isn't how on earth? I guess all the miles I've flown, when the map's that barren, I still knew where to go because it's right here, Irkutsk. Irkutsk. If you want some interesting things to watch on YouTube sometime, watch some documentaries on Irkutsk. But here's Irkutsk, and why am I showing you that? And why is Ukraine way over there? Because right now, non-stop flow. What is non-stop flow? Right here. So there you have it. In fact, if you can understand the Russian language there, they were saying that's on the way to Ukraine. That's on the way to Ukraine. Well, folks, we've got multiple videos. It's nonstop. I know you go, where are they getting all these weapons? Folks, we've been saying since day one, sanctions will not work. They're not going to work anyway because nobody's sticking to them. EU even relaxed some of their sanctions today on cloud services backwards to Russia. Oil is being bought. India is getting ready to go in the biggest relationship ever with Russia. It's not going to work. And they are loaded. And I know, you see the report. Oh, 50 Russian soldiers just ran home. They didn't want to fight in the war. Praise God. And that is happening. But when 50 will leave, they'll send another 100. They'll send another 200. Nothing but pawns on a chessboard. And you say, where do these people come from? Are you ready for the real inside story now? You see, the regime keeps these people, especially in the outlying territories, in such poverty that when the hope of making 5, 6, 800, $1,000 a month for doing a month contract of military service, folks, they're jumping at it. because they have to take care of their family. This is a game. This is the system. So when 100 will leave, they'll send 200 more. Or they'll shoot them in the back when they're running away. Yeah, it's happening. I've got video, and I can't show it to you because it shows literally Russia shooting their own soldiers. This is unlike anything we've seen since World War II. And that is no, downplaying any of the other wars, Vietnam, Korean, Iraq, Afghanistan. But some of this stuff is pure Nazism, fascism, evil. Ukraine places northwest Ukraine on the highest alert. We've been talking about this a couple of days. Same thing as we did prior to this war starting. Troops are massing, and Ukraine is now having to pay attention because Belarus is not only amassing, but they're beginning to perform their maneuvers. And 25,000 are there. Lukashenko came out today and said they're ready to push 60 up, which would be another 35, and then bring in another 20. Folks, if that happens, NATO will have to get involved, or Ukraine will not be able to handle it. Poland signed a $630 million arms deal with Ukraine. Done deal. And you guys remember when I was talking to you about Germany wanting to send tanks to Greece, and then Greece would send the junky Soviet tanks to Ukraine? Well, Greece came out and made a statement today. Greek defense minister calls Germany a circus and apologized today to Ukraine for the hoops they had to go through even to supply the poor weapons. They said their hands were tied because it's the only ones they have. Greece is not a military force. That's history. But they sent what they had, and they apologized for the hoops and for the circus of Germany. Pretty interesting right there. Rosemary Lozier, I saw your question. Yes, they do boil water. They're doing their best. But not everybody can do that, and they're getting sick. Boris Johnson today became very active again. And he even made it clear after receiving the confident vote yesterday. He says, I'm more committed than ever. I'm doubling down on my support to Ukraine. And his statement was, they will not be forced to give away their territory. Who was he speaking to? He's not speaking to Putin. He's speaking to three people. He's speaking, number one, to President Zelensky, saying, we've got your back. Secondly, he's speaking to Macron in France, stop calling Putin. And he's speaking to Schultz, stop telling them to give up their land. It's not going to happen. Rubles for gas. You see Mr. Putin pretty happy. Largest, what did I say? The sanctions are not going to work. Of course they're not going to work. Rubles for gas. The largest gas companies from 9 European countries have agreed to pay for gas in rubles. Hungary, and on the left are the companies' names. I won't read those to you, but the nations. Hungary, of course. Hungary's an ally with Russia. But then, look at your three big boys. Germany, France, and Italy. Austria, Czech, Slovakia, and Greece. Rubles for gas. Putin knew what he was doing, folks. It doesn't mean he's not evil, full of the devil, and he needs to be destroyed. But he knew what he was doing. Can I just suggest to you guys something I was discussing with somebody today? And I don't want to go off topic, but isn't it interesting that after dealing with a global pandemic, no matter what your viewpoint is on it, that's irrelevant. There still was a global pandemic that rocked our world for basically 2.5 years, 2 years. Political destabilization, first and foremost in the United States, and then basically in all other nations throughout the world. Economic downturn globally. Isn't it interesting that all these things culminate? And while all of that was happening, while everybody was watching Wuhan, Putin was pushing his troops. While everybody was looking at the economic downturn globally, Putin was pushing his troops. While America is struggling on the inside with borders and immigration, political issues out the wazoo, Putin pushing his troops. While England doing the Brexit, pushing his troops. And then, it seems at the right time, he said, let's go. The world is trying to recover from it. It's almost a Paul Harvey moment right there. India looking to double down on its Russian oil imports. Sanctions are not going to work. You can see right there India's dependence on Russian oil dating back to 2013, moving it all the way up to 2022. Look at the growth, not only of crude oil, but also of petroleum products. India is going all in with Russia. I remind you, India, the second most populated nation on the earth and soon to be number one. Now, finally, we get to the last thing. Actually, before I do that, I have to show you guys something. I've watched the washing machine and dishwasher looting. You're right. You know, firecracker, and that statement right there, it doesn't matter what your political persuasion is. At this point, for this war in Ukraine, doesn't matter. We've been distracted as a nation. That's correct. And while that happens, the enemy's planning. It's perfectly clear. I need to go back to Boris Johnson for a second, and then I'm going to show you Kuleba. Where's Boris? Boris is right here. Boris said, we're doubling down on our commitment. I got a little video of Boris. Did you guys know that Boris is a soccer player? And did you know that Boris is the enforcer? I can't make this stuff up. Yes, he plays in a rec soccer league. The Prime Minister of Great Britain. And he's a bulldog. How do I know? Well, a little bit of Boris came out a couple of years ago of him playing soccer. Football, for those of you there in London watching. That's him at the bottom. Yeah, that's the enforcer, Boris Johnson. So, we get Boris Johnson and we get I need to remember her name. With all due respect, the foreign minister of Estonia, Zelensky. Just get out of the way. Dmitry Kuleba, drawing a line in the sand. So all these different events have happened in the last few days, such as Davos, meetings at the UN, crazy stuff. Turkey and Russia meeting, Macron calling Putin, Macron saying, don't humiliate Putin, give up some of your land. New York Times writing out the wazoo. Dmitry Kuleba put out this narrative in perfect English. I didn't translate this. This is directly from him to the world. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmitry Kuleba. He said, it's my first time visiting Davos, really powerful, and I've had more than 10 meetings, including closed ones. I listened a lot and got a few narratives which Russia spreads actively among her sympathizers and half sympathizers. He said there's 4 points of the narrative. The point of the first narrative is that Ukraine is wasting her time by resisting, because anyway, the West will abandon her to her fate, and that is why Ukraine shouldn't hope for anything. And that narrative is out there everywhere. Second narrative says that Ukraine has drawn attention to herself instead of solving other problems, because the world is full of other problems. It claims that the West has concentrated on help for Ukraine, and it doesn't let the world solve other problems and treat other countries and nations the same way. This is the way Russia plans to provoke Africa, Middle East, and part of Asia against Ukraine and our partners. We're seeing that happen. It happens all the time. He said the third narrative is that the only reason for the unfolding food crisis is the sanctions imposed on the Russia. Russia will say, cease all sanctions against us, and we will lift the blockade of Ukrainian ports. Then the grain, the oil, the corn will appear in the world market, and there will be no famine. Certainly to that, we will respond that the only reason of the food crisis is Russian aggression against Ukraine, but not sanctions. But to be honest, there are people in the world who accept this narrative, and they tell that it is necessary to see sanctions from Russia somehow. There are a few of them, but they exist. And you can see here, this is his English. He released this document. You know, a couple of English things that are not right, like the Russia, but I'm not correcting him. He's the foreign minister of Ukraine. His English good enough for me. Probably better than mine. The next, fourth narrative, which I heard, seemed insane to me, but it exists, and I have clearly heard it in different areas, in different talks. It asked, why does Ukraine resist, causing enormous suffering to its own people and its country? If the war is so hard and everything is so difficult, so you have to sit and negotiate with Russia, whatever this agreement might cost. He stated, this comment is so painful, but I have heard it from some people. It does not respect the sacrifice which the Ukrainian nation brings during this war, fighting for their freedom. I don't want you to get the impression that these thoughts are dominating. These are thoughts which Russia starts to disseminate. There are people who pick them up, not because they are bribed by Russia, but because they see themselves as deep analysts who take into account all factors and try to think prudently. He then concluded, we will not give up. Folks, Dmitry Kuleba drew a line in the sand. Now, we're coming to the end tonight. Thank you for your giving. Thank you for being a part. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for continuing to tell the truth. I know I was talking with PK today, going to have some updated numbers, actually going to be really good, and I'll have them for you on our giving. Let me check over here. I know some of you guys are concerned. Jacob, no message for him. No problem. All's well. You say, well, how do you know that? How do I know that? Because I have thousands of friends in Khmelnytsky, and if one of our people was hurt or in an area that was struck, my phone would be blowing up. So we're cool. We're cool. But Khmelnytsky was hit. Now, I want to close out tonight with the rooster. What rooster? The legendary rooster of Ukraine. This is so good, I may have to show it to you twice. In fact, I probably will, because I want to watch it twice. And I've already watched it 50 times. If you have hearing issues, turn your TV down. Turn your iPad down. Because Mr. Rooster is getting ready to tell you the score. This is a clip that's going pretty viral. In fact, I posted it on another site, and it's rolling. This is a rooster in eastern Ukraine that has heard the air raid sirens so much that this rooster is able to duplicate them. Rooster's got talent. I'm going to close you out tonight with a smile. Mr. Rooster, the legend of Ukraine. You know what? Y'all go ahead and go, and I'll see you in 23 hours. But I gotta watch the rooster one more time. He is duplicating because it's all the rooster hears. And then he just falls on over. He's helping people here. There you go. Well, there you have it, folks. In Ukraine, we're all pulling together as we are every day to tell the truth. The Ukrainians are there fighting. They're doing amazing jobs. We're trying to do our best, and we will continue. And even the roosters are helping out with the air raid sirens. Hey, may the Lord bless you. Peace to you. Peace to Ukraine. We'll see you in 23 hours. I love that rooster. Catch y'all later. See you tomorrow.